Aussie. He's won this title 4 times, more than any other non-Aussie. As an Aussie coach in Darren Cahill. He's reached the 3rd round here. He has not lost at this stage of a major since 1989 at Roland Garros, when our buddy Jim Courier took him out. But Enqvist has 5 career wins against Andre. No active player has more. Updating other men's matches in the 3rd round. Marat Safin taking out Todd Martin 7-5 in the 5th set. Up next for Safin is American James Blake, who was very impressive in mowing down a young French qualifier in straight. Thomas Enqvist has beaten him 5 out of 9 career meetings. Every time Agassi begins one of these runs at a major, it's a little piece of tennis history. He became the oldest winner of a slam in 31 years when he captured this title a year ago for the 4th time. Can he raise his game? He'll probably need to against Enqvist. Back inside to Rod Laver Arena, to Cliff Drysdale, Patrick McEnroe, and Mary Carrillo.
Well, you're talking a lot about history, and one can hardly blame you. Andre Agassi, certainly when you talk about history, is going to be considered. Apart from anything else, Patrick, the guy has won all 4 slams, and only 5 guys in history have done that.
Well, there's a lot of history to talk about,
yes,
isn't there? And we keep thinking that maybe there's not going to be too much future, but Andre Agassi continues to prove everybody wrong, seemingly getting better with age. So let's go back to a little bit of that history. A little more hair, a little more facial hair as well when he won his first Wimbledon crown, the only time he's won at Wimbledon, beating Michael Stich at the U.S. Open. He's won there a couple of times. And wow, yeah, how about that one at Roland Garros? 2 sets down against Andre Medvedev, but it's here at Australia. This is winning last year. He's won this title 4 times. This is a surface that Andre Agassi loves more than any other. And he's come here again, perfectly prepared, perfectly willing to do the work he says needs to be done on this surface to grind guys down. This guy, Thomas Enqvist, though, is dangerous. He can hit big. He's given Agassi trouble in the past. I don't think he's going to be able to give him too much. Now, Agassi's looked outstanding. This is one of those matches that he likes because it's one where he does have to pick up his game, pick up his level, and look forward to week 2 of a major.
And obviously he can add to his history here. And by the way, the punters here think that he's going to win it, at least according to the guys out there. And you can make a bet just about 100 yards behind us here. It's really extraordinary in a certain way. Mary Carrillo, talk about Enki and his history. He's pretty cute, too, apart from anything else, as far as you're concerned. But the guy's played some very cute tennis against Andre Agassi over the years.
Yeah, adorable. The first time they played in their 5-4 matchup, Thomas Enqvist beat Andre Agassi back in '93 at the U.S. Open. Now, jump ahead 10 years at the last year's U.S. Open, because Enqvist has been hurt so much. He had bone spurs in his foot. That kept him out for about a year, and he's had shoulder problems that he still worries about. At last year's U.S. Open, he was in the qualifying, and he made his way through, did qualify, didn't advance too far in last year's U.S. Open. But it just says, and that's why he's barely in the top 100 right now. But he's got one of those kind of games that can worry Andre Agassi. He's heavy off the ground. He's got an especially good forehand. He's got a big old serve as well. And he beat Andre as recently as last year in Scottsdale on a hard court. Not that different from this.
So what is it about his game that bothers Andre?
No, it's heavy. It's solid. And he doesn't get worried by Andre's power in the same way that some guys do. He's pretty quick around the court, and he can hold his ground. But again, I'm with Patrick. I think it's going to be very, very hard for the Swedish player to turn back Agassi the way he's playing and feeling and competing these days.
Live coverage, round 3, Rod Laver Arena. Andre Agassi in action, Thomas Enqvist. When we come back. That's what happens when you take them from Sweden. You bring them down here, give them a little sun and a few tinnies, and they go crazy. They've had a lot to shout about, actually, over the years here. Swedes have done very well overall at the Australian in this open era of men's tennis. 33-year-old from Las Vegas, where every year he puts on a huge charity event and has raised literally millions of dollars for the Andre Agassi Preparatory School. Inner City Kids. It's a terrific program, and it's something that one of the reasons I think that he keeps going. 33, closing in on 34 years old. That and the history books, and the fact that maybe the back of his mind he feels like if he'd played more Australians, because he didn't start till late, he might have won a few more slams. 5-4, Enqvist leading the head-to-head.
Love 15. Love 30.
Incredible record, of course, here at the Australian Open. 23 straight wins here. That's the longest streak in the Open era. Showed you that career mark for Agassi here at the Australian. He lost to Michael Chang in the semis back in '96.
Friday afternoon, about 4:30 here down under in Melbourne. Excuse me, Patrick, as you're watching live coverage of Andre Agassi and Thomas Enqvist. Agassi didn't bother to play here in Melbourne until 1995, and he won it in his first effort. And Agassi says, I didn't play for reasons that were questionable. I was young, wanted time off, didn't have the same respect for the traditions of the game. Probably would have started early and did the same thing at Wimbledon. And he says those are just times that you cannot get back.
To finish, Cliff, on the losses that he's had here in his career. The second one was to Alberto Berasategui in '98 in the round of 16 in 5 sets. And the last match that Agassi lost here was in '99 to American Vince Spadea. Here are his easy wins so far this year.
Agassi's with another clean start. This guy's still looking kind of sleepy out there. Enqvist looks like he was just sort of rousted in the locker room about 5 minutes before this started. Hasn't yet won a point.
That point is a good indication of why Enqvist has troubled Agassi over the years. He can really go toe-to-toe with Andre from the baseline. But most of his wins, while coming on hard court, the conditions usually are much quicker at the events where Enqvist has been able to beat Agassi than here at the Australian Open. That will give Agassi that little extra time to get into position, to play a little more defense, and then to move Enqvist around this court. Once Agassi can get in and control the points, then Enqvist is really at a disadvantage because he doesn't move nearly as well as Agassi does along that baseline.
Or along any other line.
Maybe on the lines on the hockey rink he might.
40-15.
Fond of ice hockey, Mr. Enqvist.
He's from Sweden. Hello.
Well, here we go. You guys, we're 4 minutes into the match.
To Agassi. First set live again, Rod Laver Arena, round 3 of the men's singles. Swede had a nagging injury and it turned into a career-threatening one. You've already mentioned it. Underwent surgery for bone spurs in his foot and nerve impingement in his right shoulder. The foot healed, but the shoulder didn't. It's been a while. He's been out a lot. moving in that big serve, and he just made it look easy.
Love 30.
Saw Gil Reyes the other evening, and he was saying about in the warm-up tournament last week that Agassi played and lost to Nalbandian, and in the camp, Agassi camp, wasn't that crazy about the way he seemed to be focusing and playing. And even in the first round here, there was something to be desired. But in his second round match, and already early on today, Agassi looks very focused, very alert. And again, Enqvist continues this very slow start. 3 double faults already. Only his second time at bat.
Break points for his second straight break for Agassi. Enqvist not on the board yet.
Agassi.
Yeah, it's tough to find the vulnerable spot from Andre Agassi's game on this court that he loves so much. Agassi serving at 3 games to love, 15 love in this game. He so far has not been tested by the Swede.
Yeah, he hasn't been tested right. It's 14-1 in points won. And there another example right there of Agassi on the run, able to keep himself in the rally. Enqvist has to try to finish the rallies in 3-4 swings. The longer it goes, the more the percentages fall in Agassi's favor.
Six Americans in the draw going into today. We lost one, just one along the way. Todd Martin, very close. Marat Safin, 7-5 in the 5th. You saw that if you were with us when we opened the show. Blake still in there. So is Ginepri, so is Roddick and Dent, and obviously Andre Agassi, who is handled by Gil Reyes. He's the trainer. He's so much more than the trainer. He's his confidant, he's his friend, his first child named after Gil, middle name.
Gil gave an interview to one of the Australian papers earlier in the week and said, Andre's like a son to me. That's beautifully struck there by Enqvist.
A lot of the wisdom that you hear from Agassi comes from Gil.
Shot spot confirming that first winner there from the Swede.
Gilla Cahill is also part of Team Agassi. He's the coach. Took over from Beach, Brad Gilbert. Gilbert coaching Roddick now. He's had a couple of good horses.
Quite a few American fans around the grounds here. Coming, taking a long trip down under.
Talk about the Swedes getting out of the
Yeah.
bad weather. The Northeast hasn't been
Exactly.
too swift
A little
lately.
nippy.
Either.
Game Agassi.
4 to Agassi. Look, it's best of 5 sets. So there may be a way to turn this around, but for the moment, it's all the A train.
He's on the board. Almost. In the point department. It's a problem for Enqvist now is that now that he knows that how cleanly Agassi's hitting the ball and how well Andre's moving, he's got to take some big risk out there.
Or speed up himself, Patrick. You know,
That ain't gonna happen.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, Agassi's rushing him so much. Lost that point, but Agassi is giving a clinic to Enqvist and all the rest of us in court management. Taking absolute control of the points, the rallies, right from the jump, making the other guy do all the work.
Amazing. He just stalks the baseline. The ball gets too deep, he just half volley it from the baseline. It's really...
He won't give up the ground, will he?
No, man. It is so hard. You know, Patrick, you've talked in the past about practicing with him and what a sweat you get up so quickly.
Well, one of the reasons that he is so successful early in matches, Cliff, is because of what he does every day in and day out in practice. When he steps out on the practice court, he's ready to go. There's no warming up, there's no fiddling around. I mean, he's banging the ball from the first shot in practice on a day, a practice session day.
Game point.
I mean, he's the kind of guy that when you know you're going to practice with him, you got to go take a run. You got to get a little bit of a lather before you step on the court because he's just going to come out firing.
Not exactly how Pete Sampras used to practice.
No, but Connors did. Jimmy was like that too.
Yep. But Pete was kind of casual.
Just going through the motions in practice. Yeah, could care less.
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
He's just running after the A train. He's getting pretty tired doing it.
You know, ShotSpot is able to do some remarkable things. That technology. Well, we can report to you that Agassi has made Enqvist run 30% more than he. In other words, he's covered 30% more territory, and you can see how that's happening. I mean, Agassi again stroking the baseline. And
I think it might be up to 35 after that point.
Break point for a third straight break.
Yeah, you can see that coming. Who wants to do all that running?
4 double faults, 5 games to love Agassi. Nade, where our host hangs out.
Chris Fowler. Yep.
He says it's a real scene. That's what he reported to us last night. And he's always making the scene.
Yep.
For the set, Agassi 5 games to love.
Love 15.
Clinic.
It's so fun to watch Agassi in this mode because it's such a combination of pure talent and incredible work. The incredible work ethic that Agassi's had, the ability, as you see that serve 109 on the Porsche gun, the ability to control the rallies, to stay with his beautiful timing. And there's a little bit of the hard work. I mean, yeah, he missed that one, but the ability of him to run some balls down, to get in perfect position, that's where the work, the drive has come in, and that's what's made the biggest difference for Andre Agassi in the last 5 years of his career. The ball striking ability has always been there.
Lost 5 matches in 9 to Enqvist. Do you think when he goes out before this match today, he thinks he's going to win, or do you think he thinks he's going to have a real battle? Agassi.
Oh, he thinks he's going to win. But he's become so respectful of tennis players when he talks about all of them. The young ones coming up, the old ones on their way out. He doesn't take much for granted.
Well,
That took 21 minutes.
the holder of this Oz Open title looking very good. Don't get much better than that. 6 games to love against Thomas Enqvist, former finalist here in Australia.